Okay, so imagine this. You've been grinding. Side hustle, maybe a freelance thing, maybe you just started a small business on the side of your 9 to 5. And every single month you're pulling in like 1,200 bucks, maybe 1,500 on a good month. And you're doing the math in your head going, okay, at this rate, I'm going to be doing this for the next 40 years and I'll still be worried about whether I can afford guacamole at Chipotle. And look, I'm not even being dramatic. That was literally me. I remember sitting in my apartment, staring at my bank account after a month where I worked harder than I'd ever worked in my life, and I made $1,600 from my side income. And I just thought, is this it? Is this what building something looks like? Because it feels a whole lot like running on a treadmill that someone bolted to the floor. But then, and I'm not saying this happened overnight because it absolutely did not, something shifted. I crossed $5,000 in a single month for the first time. And here's what nobody told me. It wasn't just the money that changed. Everything changed. How I thought about risk, how I made decisions, how I spent my time, even how other people started treating me. And today I'm going to break down exactly why that number, $5,000 in a month, is one of the most important thresholds you will ever cross in your financial life. And more importantly, I'm going to explain why most people never get there. Not because they can't, but because they don't understand what's actually happening beneath the surface. My name's Thomas, and I spend way too much time thinking about income psychology, wealth building, inflection points, and why certain dollar amounts completely rewire the way people think about money. If you're someone who feels like you've been putting in the work, but your income just refuses to match your effort, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. All right, let's get into this. So, the first thing I need to address, because I already know some of you are thinking it, Thomas, $5,000 a month? That's not even that much money. That's $60,000 a year. The median household income in the US is like $74,000. And you're right. On paper, $5,000 a month is not life-changing wealth. Nobody's buying a yacht. But here's the thing. I'm not talking about $5,000 from a salary. I'm talking about $5,000 that you generated. From a side business, from freelancing, from an investment portfolio, from something that you built with your own hands and your own decisions. That distinction is everything. And let me explain why. When you earn $5,000 from a paycheck, you know exactly why you got it. You showed up. You did the hours. Your employer decided that your time was worth a certain rate, and they paid you. There is a ceiling. There is a formula. There is a cap. When you earn $5,000 from something you built, there is no ceiling. And the moment your brain fully processes that, like truly, deeply absorbs it, you become a fundamentally different person. I've seen it happen over and over again, and the research actually backs this up. A study published in the Journal of Business Venturing found that entrepreneurs who crossed a self-generated income threshold that exceeded their basic living expenses experienced what the researchers called entrepreneurial self-efficacy reinforcement, which is a fancy way of saying their brain finally believed them. Their brain went from, "this probably won't work," to, "oh wait, I actually know how to create money." And that shift, that's not incremental, that's tectonic.
Now, let me show you the math, because this is where it gets really interesting. Let's say you're making $1,500 a month from a side hustle. You've been at that level for about 6 months. You're working, I don't know, maybe 15 hours a week on it. That means you're earning roughly $25 an hour from your side income. Okay, not bad. Now, most people in that position try to grow by working more hours. They go from 15 hours a week to 25 hours a week. And sure, maybe they bump up to $2,000, $2,200 a month. But they just burned 10 extra hours a week to make $700 more dollars. That's $17.50 an hour for those extra hours. Their effective rate actually went down. Here's what most people don't realize. The jump from $1,500 to $5,000 a month almost never comes from doing more of the same thing. It comes from doing a fundamentally different thing. Let me give you a real example. Let's say you're a freelance graphic designer charging $50 per logo. To make $5,000 a month, you need 100 logos. That's over 3 logos a day every single day, no days off. That's insane. Nobody's doing that sustainably. But what if instead of selling logos, you created a brand identity package? Logo, color palette, brand guidelines, social media templates, and you charged $800. Now you need a little over 6 clients a month. That's less than 2 a week. Same skill set, same core ability, completely different income math. And look, I'm simplifying this. I know there's sales involved, there's positioning, there's marketing, but the fundamental point stands. The path to 5,000 is almost always about restructuring what you offer, not about grinding harder at what you're already doing. The people who figure that out are the ones who break through. The people who don't, they burn out at 2,000 a month and go back to saying side hustles don't work. Okay, so here's where I really want you to pay attention, because this section is honestly why I made this video. The money is great, obviously, but the real reason everything changes after your first $5,000 month is psychological. And there are 3 specific shifts that happen in your brain that most people never talk about. Shift number 1, you stop thinking in terms of salary and start thinking in terms of leverage. Before you hit 5,000, you think about money the way most people do. How many hours did I work and what did I get paid? That's a salary mindset. After you hit 5,000 from something you built, you start asking totally different questions. You start asking, what asset did I create? How many people did it reach? What's the conversion rate? What's the lifetime value of each customer? You stop trading time for dollars and you start thinking in systems. And once you see money as the output of a system rather than the reward for your time, you literally cannot go back to thinking the old way. It's like trying to unsee an optical illusion. Shift number 2, your risk tolerance completely recalibrates. This one is huge, and I don't think people appreciate how significant it is. Before 5,000, every financial decision feels enormous. Should I spend $300 on that course? Should I invest in better equipment? Should I hire someone to help me? It all feels like a gamble because you're operating from scarcity. After 5,000, you've proven to yourself that you can generate money. Not just earn it from someone else, generate it. And when you know you can generate money, spending money on growth stops feeling like a risk and starts feeling like an investment. There's actually a concept in behavioral economics called the house money effect, originally studied by Thaler and Johnson in 1990, where people who have recently experienced gains are more willing to take calculated risks. Now, this can be dangerous if you're reckless, but if you're strategic, it's rocket fuel. Because now you're willing to invest $500 in ads, or $1,000 in a mentor, or $2,000 in a tool that saves you 20 hours a week. And those investments compound. Shift number 3, and this is the one that really caught me off guard. Other people start treating you differently. Look, I wish this weren't true. I really do. But when you're making $1,500 a month from a side hustle, people treat it like a hobby. Your friends kind of smile and nod. Your family asks when you're going to get a real job. Even potential clients or customers can sense it. There's this energy of, I'm still figuring this out, that you project whether you want to or not. When you cross 5,000, something subtle shifts. You carry yourself differently. You talk about your work differently. You're not saying, I'm trying to build this thing anymore. You're saying, I run a business, and people respond to that. Clients take you more seriously. Opportunities start appearing that didn't exist before. Not because the universe is rewarding you, let's not get mystical about this, but because confidence is a signal, and humans are hardwired to respond to signals of competence. A 2019 study from Harvard Business School found that entrepreneurs who reached what the researchers called validation income significant enough to confirm the viability of their venture, were 63% more likely to attract partnerships, referrals, and repeat customers in the following 12 months compared to those who hadn't. 63%. Same quality of work, same market, just a different level of conviction behind it.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, Thomas, I get it. 5,000 is a nice milestone, but why are you acting like it changes everything? It's still not enough to quit my job or retire or anything. And that's fair. That's a completely fair objection. But here's what you're missing. 5,000 a month is not the destination. It's the inflection point on the curve. Let me explain what I mean. If I asked you how long it took to go from zero to your first $1,000 month, most people would say months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. Some people, honestly, years. Now, if I asked you how long it took to go from 1,000 to 2,500, probably a few more months. From 2,500 to 5,000, maybe another few months. But here's the pattern no one talks about. The jump from 5,000 to 10,000 almost always takes less time than the jump from 0 to 1,000. Not more, less. And the jump from 10 to 20, often even faster. Why? Because by the time you're at 5,000, you've already solved the hardest problems. You know your audience, you know your offer, you know how to sell, you know how to deliver. You've built the foundation. Everything after that is optimization and scaling. It's adding fuel to a fire that's already burning. I'll give you real numbers. Let's say you hit $5,000 a month and you're able to save or reinvest even just 30% of that. That's $1,500 a month. You put that into an index fund averaging, conservatively, 8% annually. In 5 years, that's over $110,000. In 10 years, you're approaching $275,000. And that's if your income never grows beyond $5,000, which it will, because of everything I just explained about compounding skills and confidence and reinvestment. Now, layer on top of that the fact that your income is probably going to double or triple in the next 2 to 3 years if you stay consistent, which the data supports, and you're looking at a trajectory that most people with traditional careers will never experience, not because they're less talented, but because the system they're in has a ceiling and yours doesn't. Okay, so if this is so powerful, why don't more people get there? And I've thought about this a lot. I think there are 3 main reasons. Reason 1, they quit during the messy middle. There's this phase, usually between like $800 and $3,000 a month, where growth just stalls. You're working hard, you're doing the right things, but the results are inconsistent. One month you make $2,800, the next month you make $1,100, and it feels like you're going backwards. Most people interpret this as failure. It's not. It's the part of the process where you're refining your systems, building your audience, and developing your reputation. It's the unglamorous part that nobody puts in their YouTube thumbnails, but it's where the real work happens. According to a study by the Small Business Administration, approximately 70% of solo entrepreneurs who quit their ventures do so within the first 18 months, and the majority of them cite inconsistent income as the primary reason. They weren't failing, they were in the messy middle. They just didn't know that's what it was. Reason 2, they compare their month 3 to someone else's month 300. Look, I see this constantly. Someone's making $1,000 from their Etsy shop, and they go on Instagram and see someone doing $50,000 a month selling digital products. And instead of thinking, that's possible for me eventually, they think, what's wrong with me? Nothing. Nothing is wrong with you. That person has been doing this for years. You've been doing it for 4 months. Stop comparing your opening act to someone else's encore. Reason 3, and this is the one that frustrates me the most, they don't raise their prices. I am telling you right now, the single fastest lever most people can pull to get to $5,000 a month is to charge more. And I know that sounds overly simplistic, but hear me out. The average freelancer, according to a 2023 report by Payoneer, undercharges by 30 to 50% relative to the market value of their work. 30 to 50%. That means if you're charging $2,000 for a service, the market would bear $3,000, maybe even $3,500. And you know why people don't raise their prices? Fear. Pure, simple fear. Fear that clients will say no. Fear that they'll lose business. Fear that they're not worth it. But here's the thing. When you raise your prices, yes, some people will say no. But the people who say yes are better clients. They value your work more. They're easier to work with. They refer other high-quality clients. And you need fewer of them to hit your income goals. It's better in literally every dimension. But people won't do it because they're scared. And so they stay at $2,000 a month and wonder why they can't break through.
All right.
I promised actionable steps, so let me give you exactly what I would do if I were starting from zero or stuck below $5,000 a month right now. Step 1. Audit your income per hour honestly. Not your gross income, not your revenue, your actual income divided by your actual hours. If that number is below $40 an hour, you have a pricing problem or an efficiency problem, probably both. Fix those before you try to scale. Step 2, restructure your offer. Look at what you're selling and ask yourself, can I package this differently to deliver more value and charge a higher price? Almost always the answer is yes. Bundle services, add a premium tier, create a done-for-you option alongside your done-with-you option. Price anchoring alone can increase your average transaction value by 20 to 30%. Step 3. Set a minimum acceptable project threshold. Decide right now what the lowest amount you'll accept for a project is, and then stick to it. If your goal is $5,000 a month and you can realistically handle 8 clients, your minimum project value needs to be at least $625. Anything below that, you politely decline or refer out. This alone will force you to level up your client acquisition. Step 4. Dedicate 30% of your working time to acquisition. Most people spend 90% of their time doing the work and 10% finding new work, and then they're shocked when they run out of clients. Flip that ratio closer to 70-30. 70% delivery, 30% acquisition. That means outreach, content creation, networking, referral follow-ups, every single week, non-negotiable. Step 5, and I cannot stress this enough, track everything. Your income, your hours, your client sources, your conversion rates. You cannot improve what you don't measure. Set up a simple spreadsheet, update it weekly. Within 2 months, you'll start seeing patterns that tell you exactly where your bottleneck is. And once you can see the bottleneck, fixing it becomes almost obvious. Here's what I want to leave you with. $5,000 a month is not about the money. I mean, it is. The money matters. Let's not pretend it doesn't. But the real transformation is what happens inside your head when you prove to yourself that you can build something from nothing and make it work. Because once you've done it once you've had that month where you look at your numbers and it says $5,000 and you know that every single dollar of that came from your ideas, your effort, your decisions, you are not the same person anymore. You can't be. You now have evidence, and evidence beats motivation every single day of the week. Most people will never get there, not because the world is unfair, although, look, sometimes it is, but because they'll quit 6 months too early. They'll stay at their comfortable rate because raising prices feels scary. They'll keep doing the same thing expecting different results because changing their approach feels risky. Don't be like most people. Your first $5,000 month is out there, and it's probably closer than you think. You just have to be willing to stop doing what got you to $1,500 and start doing what gets you to $5,000. They're not the same thing. If this video helped you, hit that subscribe button. I put out videos like this every single week, breaking down the math and the psychology behind building real wealth. Drop a comment below and tell me what's your current monthly side income and what's the one thing you're going to change after watching this. I read every single comment. I genuinely want to know. I'll see you in the next one.